Hello, my name is Hannah, and today we're building an industrial modern mansion. It's not actually that mansion-y, but it fits with like the M's, and also calling it just a house kind of feels like underwhelming. But it's fine. It's a word, and I've never had anybody complain about my use of mansion when it's not actually a mansion. I have had people complain about other words that I've used to describe houses, but not mansion yet. But we'll see if that changes. Feel like now that I'm mentioning it, we're gonna have a bunch of that, but I don't know. We'll see. But I built this house last night, and if you watch my other two videos, you don't actually need to. If you want to, you can though. But I was feeling horrible the last 2 days, but I really wanted to build, and I also was like, I want to record voiceovers tomorrow, but I only have 3 builds done, which is not like a requirement for me to have 4 builds done before I do voiceovers, but that's just kind of what I aim for, so that I have enough videos for the next week and that I can do it all in one session. I don't think I'm going to be able to do these all in one session because I have a stomach ache right now and it's getting worse, but that's fine, whatever. I'm having a fun time, so we're just going to tell my stomach to not. It's not going to work that well, but I built this house because I wanted to build a modern thing again, and then I also built an industrial modern thing in the last video that you saw, but it had been like 3 days since I built that, from then to this build, so it's fine, but I hadn't really figured that both of them were industrial modern until I was like halfway done with this build. But they're different types of industrial modern because this one's more modern and the other one's more industrial, so it's different. But I was looking through industrial modern houses on Google, like I usually do before I build like things, because I suck at making just shapes in my mind. But again, couldn't find many things that fit like that well with what I wanted, so I was just like mixing stuff, which technically is what I do most times, because the pictures on Google are usually not that great. But sometimes I do copy more exactly than sometimes than other times, but like that only happens like every 2 builds in like a year. Usually I'll take a bunch of like aspects of different builds and then just put them together, because then it doesn't look as dumb. But then also you'll see that I do the landscaping right now. None of that stays. None of it stays for the next 12 seconds, and then I delete it all because I hated it. It does change, I think either now or later. It's now, because I can see it happening right now, but I did not like that, and so it's like sand. I forgot the word for sand for a second there, but I didn't really know how to landscape with the sand because I wanted it to look good, and desert landscaping is basically just non-existent with a cactus there. So I wanted to put like patches of grass, which they may be fake, they may be real, I don't really know. This is a video game, it doesn't really matter. But we are in the middle of the desert, and I wanted to build on this lot, not because it has good lighting, because it doesn't. It has absolutely horrible lighting, but because it's a 40 by 30 lot, and also I kind of wanted to build on a sand lot because I haven't built on one of those in a bit. But that was pretty bad because it was kind of ugly and made the landscaping hard, but that's fine, whatever. But I did have a lot of fun building this one. The interior is really like very industrial and the outside's kind of more modern, but that's fine because it's a mix, so it's fine. And also the floor plan was really fun. I don't know, I just kind of started putting stuff down and hoped it worked, past tense, but it did, and so that was really fun. But moving on from the house to the things that I've done, I'm going to be talking about the panel Jeopardy thing that I mentioned ever so briefly, I think last week. May not have even mentioned it like almost at all, but on Monday we were reading like The Kite Runner in English. The book is not essential to knowing what I'm talking about, but that is the book that we were talking about. I am currently behind actually on my reading, but that's okay. But Monday I was caught up on my reading because that was a week ago, but my team had to run discussions, and so basically we call them panel discussions. I don't know where the panel comes from, I really don't know, but we have groups. There's I think 4 or 5 groups, I honestly don't remember, but we have the groups of like 4 or 5, and each week, or well, not each week because we usually have more than one a week, but each time we get through a reading section, we have a singular group ask questions, and those in that group will like ask questions, and like everybody else will like answer the questions and like start a discussion, because they're like open-ended questions, like what do you think or why do you think, kind of questions like that. And so on Monday this week was our turn to do it, and we have the most introverted, quiet group of them all. It was really just horrible fate right there. It was not gonna go anywhere. It worked fairly okay, but we're originally we were supposed to just, make questions, ask them. But one of my group members decided that it would be more fun to spend the entire weekend making an off-brand Jeopardy game. It did kind of work exactly like Jeopardy, but like with like 2 things wrong. So it was a little complicated, but it did end up working at the end, and there was a discussion that happened in class. So I don't know. And then we got extra points because we made like too many questions, because we only got through like 8 questions in class and we made 20 of them, which, we could have probably seen that to begin with, that we were not going to get through all of them. Like I think 2 of the people in our group, out of the 4 of us, didn't have even questions set. I think it was mostly one of the persons, and then 2 or 3 of my questions got asked. So, it was a little bit off, but they kept picking like questions that were by the singular person, but they wouldn't know. It was just us that knew that it was just them who got their questions picked. But it was chaotic because the rules, one of my group members asked somebody else to explain the rules, and this person was the one who made the thing but had no rules and has no concept of knowing how to explain stuff. So then I had to take over, and I just in 3 sentences was just explaining the rules really quickly, and that my set of rules worked much better because I was trying to make it as basic and as not complicated as possible, because that we don't need that much work to be doing right now. But my team member that was trying to explain the rules first was trying to implement a time limit and how points worked, and I'm fairly positive we just don't need that. So I was just you ask the question, we give you a question, you pick the question off of this list, and we open it, and then we give you a minute to discuss, and then you talk to a whole group, and then we open it up to everybody else. And I was just done. That is all you need. That is all we need to have a productive day today, and that is fine. You don't need anything else. But it was very awkward because the person that was supposed to read the rules, or the person that kind of tried to, confused literally everybody, and so we had some issues at the beginning. But we were also not prepared to have a point system or any of that stuff, because all of us had our different ideas of how this was going to work, or me, who had no idea what we were going to be doing, because I was the one who worked on most of the questions this week, and so I was somebody else is going to figure out a point system. If they can't do anything else, they'll figure it out. But all of them had different things, and then the one person who did get assigned to do the point system had their point system. I don't even know what the point system was that they did, but I know who won, and that is it, and we are done, so we're all good. But it was very chaotic, but we did have a good discussion that day, and it did take the entire allotted period of time that we had, so I'd say it wasn't a complete failure. It was just very, very awkward at the beginning. And also because, how Jeopardy's 500, 400, 300 points. I've never seen Jeopardy. That is just what they were calling it. So I also may be entirely wrong. But we have levels of questions. They only picked 500 questions. I wonder why that one is. But, we had a bunch of other questions. And at the end, we were just picking questions for them, because we wanted the people who hadn't talked to answer whatever. My teacher has some strange things that she wants. I don't really know, but it was a little weird at the very end and the very beginning, but the middle was fine. But it was just who talks the most gets the most points, except if you talked for had a singular person talk too many times, then you got points deducted, kind of thing. I really couldn't tell you how that worked, but it worked somehow. But the group that I thought was gonna win did win, in fact, because they do talk so much in every single one of the panel discussions. I was very much so, like, expecting them to win, and they did. So, it was fairly, it kind of went in the, like, exact, like, first to last place kind of went exactly how I was expecting it to go, based on how most people talk in normal discussions, which they'll get a bunch of points. The people who don't talk are not going to get a bunch of points in, like, actual class, because, our points don't count, but the ones that my teacher does will count. But, like, I don't really care. I have talked twice in that class. Three times. I've taught 3 times. That's pretty good. So we'll see if my grade just dies, but that's fine. I don't really care. But I also was having, like, very bad anxiety, especially at the very beginning, because I don't like talking. If that was not clear already, you should really just, like, look at any of my other videos. Just pick one. You'll figure it out. But I was, like, having really bad, like, my heart was really bad, and I was feeling like I was gonna throw up. Not as bad as, on Thursday, if you've seen my videos of the last 2 videos. Not that badly, but I did feel like I was gonna throw up. Didn't throw up, though, because that was good, because I don't need to be thrown up multiple times in a week. That would have been really bad. But it was just overall kind of okay, kind of crazy, but, it worked fairly well. And then, as I said, she wanted us to, like, give her access to all of the questions that we didn't get time to do, because, we still get credit for who made those questions and how much work we did over the weekend, which it was mostly me, because they did make, like, half the questions. The other 3 members of the group made, like, half, and I made half, but I was over here just like, do your work. Can you text this person to do their work? Can we get this done over here? So yeah, it worked really well over the weekend, but, the time in class worked much better than it did over the weekend, so, it was very fun, but it was also very horrible at the same time. But, that's just kind of how group projects work. But that is about it for today's video. It is almost screenshots time, so, subscribe if you did like today's video if you want to see more like this, but I do post 4 videos a week, so you can watch another video next time. Bye.